There's another matter that I just found out from this document that Daddy Lumba is a citizen of the Federal Republic of Germany. Federal Republic of Germany does not recognize dual citizenship. How complicated does that make the story?
They
must fall in line and adhere to the terms of the German constitution and other civil codes.
So that makes it worse, because then we cannot attribute the customary law to him, because he's not even Ghanaian.
Question any probably ebusane say injunction Emame Akosua Serwaa edi ato da de Lumba sebi na yie eso no or was held to me no or was all right no we any question any probably no a eye den ebusa efiri se Ghana ha de obi anum se wonya free mu a abusua ene wo control e wo ye obody so enti abla injunction ne ba bontre no asem wo obia ebusa eye den eno no na eye po admo kire e video mu no the first video mu no na already that particular concern, but after say already eye Daddy Lumba eye Akosua Serwaa injunction ni ye no eno hunu say there is another question amount for adwene enyanko so and say Lumba ewo hoyi oye Ghana ni anase wonye Ghana ni efiri say oman German eye den ewo hoyi they do not accept dual citizenship. And they say, oh, you're Germany, oh, you're Germany, and they say UK, any other countries, not can US, not the Adeno. Omo accept dual citizenship, but Germany accept it. And to Lumba, ewo hoyi, or you're Ghana ni, and I say, oh, you're Germany, or no, na amount for agony, and yet the uncle so. And to pour much every day, a year, my menu. A yen injunction, we know, say, Debbie. Mammy, no, our case. And never one more Ghana for the young Kosua, as some of the bedroom, a year critical point. Now, a bushensha video, I say, and from free or anyway, and come on, would ye say, Jamai and Mra, a bit to me a year Juma, our Ghana, and I sent to me and year Juma, our Ghana. Odin komone se Lumba eye Ghana ni enti ye Mame Akosua Serwaa sabi any right bia ewo Lumba eye na yie so betimi the injunction aye den atoso efiri se Ghana ni die ewu a abusua e na ewo right. But the second question no enipa bebre adwene enya enkoso ye heard the first video bra na fi de wi a abra or adumochi everyday injunction let ni wie ye pen no say ene say Lumba wo hoyi onye Ghana ni cause Lumba an say ni German krata na ekuta no ejechese stay no ano oyi German ni nko a onye Ghana ni etinetire se Ghana mra ebetimi enya effect ewo Lumba so ana sentimi nya effect ewo Lumba so abusua. The thing is getting very interesting. AHINTASEM TV. Subscribe, like, and share. The comments so never am I.
Daddy Lumba ehunko mo kakra na yedi we free me yedi ni na wotweda ayiyo na wotweda no ho nsem kakra de but ema mienu bi na eko na ba ko ye Akosua Serwaa yese na yire pani na ekire so na oba one eti Priscilla Oforia mkofo friend odobroni okay ayiyo no beba eno a abusua de date na betudwa o ma kire baby poti e beye ayi no ana opeye da story ya oba na eye nhokani na odikan na Akosua Serwaa maze ne brado do na obono Germany abontin o de krata aba se omontwe ayi no sensen na krata ni mu nsem ni bi ni se 1 one Daddy Lumba eware wo mrem ewo Germany abontin so 2004 eno mo ware na German emra ne kire se untumi san ware oba foforo 2 osese ono ye yire pani ni kunu ayiyo no ote ho enkabo internet so one ne mma ehihye bi enu ho a omwom ti saade a ode tabo no to ayiyo no so oba no ho kwan se ode tabo no to ayiyo abusua se eda sei ni ebeye no
Mami nkyere mu sei. Ansa ne be yi no. Onse to say the make answer your kwan fa so ma abusua no te. Na abusua no so ama wo kunani no so wasonte. Ho no eye ne hyehyɛ de ye bia no. Sebi de bia ntimi ntwe kunani ma. Ti ama kunani yi ne hunipa. Ebem. Ti hyehyɛ bia ye bia na nisam. Ti se bibi na adesede bi o aye de fa ho. Ene ye de asere se ebia date we de bia ne yedwumade bia kwa akuhia. Ti modama ene we ya adesede o. Se mu yehu bibi ne be ya munya.
Oba ne o se osref e wa busua no.
Ti se de meka nipa no nya wupa abusua japade.
Oba oni tumi wo.
Ti abusua ne wo so tumi.
Oba ne ni tumi.
Wo ye yere oni so tumi. Wo ye ba oni so tumi.
So obi to a emma oyere uni nipa na wato ni so tumi.
Da bi di abusua no.
Busua ne tede.
Bibia obi a no de fa abusua no so. Se ma no mpo mo pese mo gi ayi ne ya. Mo kwasere fi abusua fo.
Abusua se yemfa mama mo ntimi nya ho.
Mo ntimi nya ho.
Na ontimi nya wo de.
Da bi. Se nya wo de. Enti we ya ye kan no. Ensembusa bi wo ho. O se yewe. Ayi ne hyehyɛ na ye no.
Yeah.
Kunani ne hu nipa ka ho ana.
I say utie honorable Collins committee no mote no oba ne fam oba odikan oba otosumienu fam abusua ene obi a osefata bia no e wo committee no so aban ensia na
wo mu dia ene ni kurani ni se na mu na se bo kurani na mane se
omo shedate
ya dia da sheda sei
net homra no and customary ordinance we no ememu ha
Germany mra no Ghana oman bia won jurisdiction and oman bia wo autonomous so what she mra
okay
Ghana ha be a Ghana mra nya adwuma embassies
yeah oman na nkase wa hana embassy ni wo ye man mu han ye mra no nya adwuma wo sa embassy hon
and even criminal act be crazy wa omo and
omade
customary law
yeah
ye de asha na wonsa ya mamra na mahon kwan and the issue be I have a customary affect even court is here and as a hinsama you got just this a matter affecting chieftaincy the court in any jurisdiction
under German law no man who is already legally married can enter into another marriage. This is clearly stated in the German civil code. It is a Germany hona no peso
ojina so bro for na da pa
yeah
ni nyina se Germany wanka Ghana asem
wow
Ghana so na ewe into the nyama lawyer for no omo abeka ho asem
it was in a crack no say legal action also due to the confusion and lack of proper communication from the funeral committee. The direct family has filed an injunction on both the date and barrier arrangement until proper dialogue and consensus are achieved.
You ready be say
Any case
you ready be say Ghana court e baje Germany atum say enya adwuma Ghana ha
Afe abusua mu wura mu na yenhwe eye po adom ochre e first video a oyeye abra na onya ready injunction letter no anase injunction order no a babontre no we ene nkomo a na wodi but after say already injunction order ni wie no afre na nkomo no yasesa. This is the first video.
So under Ghanaian law, once you marry under the ordinance, you cannot marry under any other system. So if Kwame takes Ama and they either go to the marriage registry, they either go to the registrar general, or they marry in a church, and knows that it's also specific because there are some churches that have the authority to issue the certificates. So for instance, Methodist, Presby, Catholic, and then some of the recognized churches that have the authority to issue certificates. Okay. Once you marry there, you cannot marry anywhere else.
Once you conduct an ordinance marriage,
you cannot marry even under custom.
Yes, you can't marry under custom.
You cannot marry. Yeah. It's bars you. So it is ordinance in Ghana and ordinance in the equivalent in UK, in Germany, in anywhere. So also under German civil law, once you contract a marriage under ordinance under German civil law, you can equally not marry under any system again.
It's strictly monogamous.
It's strictly monogamous. A similar thing.
And this is the
UK,
marriage that she's alleging was conducted in
Germany, and no order for dissolution, no divorce.
Since then, there's been no order.
There has been no order.
Does she explain the separation of she and her partner in the writs anyhow?
Well, the thing is, the ambit of divorce is strict. Separation doesn't come in. Divorce is a legal technical term. Was the order given by the court?
So you mean divorce is not gleaned by behavior?
No.
It should be found out from the fact.
Yes.
Presented before a court, which grants the application.
Yes.
Until and unless such an application is granted, under the law, the parties are deemed married.
Married, yes.
Okay.
Either that, or if it's under custom, you have to perform the specific rites that are recognized under custom. So, for example, for the Akans, you have to come back to the woman's family, and the woman would give you the drink. Often, when they give you the schnapp, they can give you maybe 3-4 bottles of schnapp. The family is supposed to keep one. They can drink 2 or 3, but they must keep 1 bottle
as evidence.
Yes, as evidence of marriage, and that bottle will also be returned in occasion of divorce.
Okay, so if you marry under ordinance in Germany,
yes,
and you come to Kumasi, can you divorce that marriage? Can you dissolve that marriage by a traditional process?
No.
If you undertake a traditional process, it will be null and void.
It will be null and void. Traditional process can only be applied to traditional marriage. That is the return of the drinks. So, for instance, under Islam, they have certain specific rites they perform, where the man can say talak, talak, talak. After obviously they've seen the imam, and there has been investigation as to whether the divorce has broken down. And then after that, they are supposed to have that divorce also registered at the local district. So those are the ambits for which, and this has not been done in this instance. And so once you do that, you commit a misdemeanor called
you marry
bigamy.
Whilst you are in another marriage legally.
Yes.
Which is what she's alleging that Daddy Lumba did.
Yes.
With Odobroni.
Odobroni. That is, if she's able to substantiate or show that indeed they married under another system, and that she's able to show that still, per the marriage certificate issued in Bornheim, Germany, there has been no dissolution of the marriage thereafter. Then it's bigamy, and then obviously the man is no more, so he cannot be charged of bigamy. But this is just for legal education.
But it will mean that the rights of Odobroni will be affected.
Yes, will be extinguished.
So if, for instance, if Lumba has died intestate, and therefore the estate is subject to the interstate succession law.
Yes.
And the interstate succession law says that 1/3 to wife, 1/3 to family, isn't it? And 1/3 to children. Then the 1/3 to the wife would have to go to
the legally recognized wife.
However,
Odobroni's children, so long as they were children of Daddy Lumba, would be entitled
even if they're over 18.
If they are above 18, they may not be entitled as dependents.
Okay.
So above 18, the law is that there's actually Humphrey Bonsu versus Quaino that specifically mentioned this principle that above 18, they would not be deemed to be dependents of the deceased, and then consequently entitled as of rights from his estates. But as children, generally, they may be.
But if he died with a will, and in the will he gives Odobroni that she says that's my house in East Legon to my wife Odobroni, how will the law evaluate that?
Then to my wife, who is the wife?
If he writes to my wife Odobroni, and now she's saying that Odobroni cannot be described as a wife, so will they simply delete my wife and leave Odobroni to have the property? So that is, or what is going to happen?
So that is when they would have to engage the courts in an interpretative exercise. So we call that proving a will in solemn form. So proving a will in solemn form means that you are now we have proven the will in common form and proving the will in solemn form. In this instance, you are challenging some provision in the will. At times it can be maybe the signature did not look appropriate. At times it can be the description the person gave to one of the children. You know that maybe Mr. A was fighting with his child, but now in his will he's describing that child as my dearest boy. Those things can be challenged, but that would have to be.
But when it's challenged, does it nullify the entire?
It is the court that makes
document, or it takes that out and keeps the rest.
Oh yes, so long as it's the specific provisions that you challenge in court. So if you are challenging provision A, that this goes to, or this is supposed to come to me, that is what we are dealing with. The court may not say that the will in and of itself, unless maybe you are challenging a part of the will that targets the essential validity of the full will.
During the trial, if during the trial the family has been sued, isn't it?
The head of family. That's another part.
Is a defendant. Is there something about it in law?
Yes,
is that
but
not
that's
the right
another
person
part argument. So that's another.
Is that not the right person to sue?
That's the right person to sue. But there's also a legal discussion about who has the rights to plan the burial of an individual. So the law, and this will actually come as a shocker to many people. So assuming this person is called Samuel, and Samuel writes a will that he wishes to be cremated, or he wishes for his body to be given to Kolebu for scientific purposes. When he dies, nobody is under a legal obligation to give his body to Kolebu or to cremate him. The rights that accrues to the rights concerning the planning of the funeral accrues to the family of Samuel. And so once you die, the property is not vested. Your body is not yours.
It's for the family.
It's more or less
so
for
they
the family.
decide whether they will honor what you want to do.
Exactly.
So they are going to have their funeral.
They are going to.
They
have
need
their
not
funeral.
consult her.
Uh-huh.
They need not consult her.
Yes, but the thing
must
is,
they invite her?
But good. So under Akan customary law, which was what I said earlier, there are specific functions the widow must play at the funeral. So they cannot, as family, also oust the widow from performing those functions at the funeral.
If they do not recognize her as the widow because they say over the last 20 years we haven't seen her, our son, our brother, our uncle had a very bad toxic relationship with her. We don't want to see her. She's the reason why our uncle died. Odobroni has come into his life and made him better. Without Odobroni, he would have died 10 years earlier. If they say these things, is it inconsequential to the law?
She's the widow.
But
So
that's if she succeeds.
That's if she succeeds. She's the widow. And so the relationship, whether or not the relationship was good. So 2 years ago, in March 2023, I attended a funeral in Kumasi, close to Kwamo, Pakoso. I don't know if you know that place.
Yeah, it's my village.
I attended a funeral there. A similar thing. The man was in UK, married the woman, ordinance and everything. As time went on, the marriage was problematic. He got a second wife. Now at the funeral,
Second wife in London.
Ghana.
Okay.
So she was here. The plan was he had passed 60, and so he wanted to come to Ghana and then marry the second one, more or less, after finalizing a divorce. That was his intention. But when he came, the issue was that she was the wife. The first woman,
UK one.
The UK woman was the wife. And so the consensus of the family was to allow both of them perform. So she came, she did her procession. The first wife came, did the procession with the things that they used to wash the corpse. And then the second wife also came and also did her procession with the things they used to wash the corpse. Interestingly, it almost became at the grounds of the funeral.
Is it not really in law a conflict of laws question?
Yes.
Where German law is clashing with Ghanaian law, and therefore, because if the family knows Odobroni, then it suggests that there has been some processes between Daddy Lumbe's family and Odobroni's family for Lumbe's family to now recognize her. And then he as an individual has also contracted a marriage in another jurisdiction. It's a clear case of conflict of laws, isn't it?
Yes, but the thing is, once marriage is contracted somewhere, it is deemed recognized throughout the world.
Globally.
So marriage contracted in Ghana. So in fact, you can have an American citizen come to Ghana to contract marriage in Ghana, to get married to somebody. They would go to church in Ghana and sign. Once he goes to the US, though the marriage was contracted in Ghana, it is also applicable in the US.
So US will recognize that.
US will recognize that. And in fact, the lady can even use the marriage as a basis. Many people do it.
To travel.
To travel.
Yeah,
and
that is his wife.
That is the wife. And the American government, it happened here.
Yeah, but if the marriage is celebrated by the American citizen in Ghana as a traditional marriage, not as an ordinance marriage, it's a traditional Ghanaian traditional marriage, which is polygamous.
Yes,
potentially polygamous. If that American goes to America, his matrimonial law. The only matrimonial law that exists in America is monogamy. The polygamy is unknown to American jurisprudence in that regard. If you have gone to conduct a polygamous marriage, would America recognize your marriage as polygamous? And therefore, that you can potentially marry more within the context of the same traditional marriage?
You can only marry more within the context of the traditional marriage.
Yes, absolutely.
That's so.
Will America recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, so if in that regard, you have married another woman. So you marry a Ghanaian traditionally. Then you marry a South African traditionally. Then you marry an Angolan traditionally. because all of these cultures allow the traditional polygamy thing. And then you file for their documents and you have 3 wives. Will the American State Department recognize that an American citizen has contracted a marriage that allows him to marry 3 wives when that is contrary to U.S. matrimonial causes?
With an American citizen. Now,
yes, the man is an American citizen.
The man is an American citizen.
Yeah, he's married 3 African women at different times under a system that allows him to marry polygamy. He's in America. He wants them to have American citizenship as well, as spouses of American citizens are entitled. So he presents 3 spouses to the State Department. As give them all Americans because they are all my wives. But American law does not recognize that. In fact, it deems that as immoral.
Yes. So as an American citizen, now the dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
Because it's different if it was a Ghanaian citizen who is subject to Ghanaian law that respects and recognizes custom.
Okay,
as an American citizen, he is bound by American law, which does not recognize such potentially polygamous
so
marriage.
then an American citizen cannot reasonably contract a monogamous marriage in Ghana. He cannot. Because,
an American citizen?
Yes, an American citizen cannot conduct a polygamous marriage in Ghana. He can't.
He can contract a potentially polygamous marriage and possibly convert that potentially polygamous marriage
to an ordinance
marriage.
But I'm saying
even
that
in the US,
if he conducts the polygamous marriage in Ghana, he's not allowed to take on another.
No, he's not allowed to
because
take on
his
another.
personal law does not allow it.
Yes, his personal law, which is American law. As an American citizen.
Treat me like one of your students. Let's come to Daddy Lumba. Daddy Lumba is Ghanaian. The law that governs his life is Ghanaian. He finds himself in Germany. He's going to marry. He goes through a German process.
Yes.
He does not know that this process is contrary to the Ghanaian marriage process. He understands that he's getting married to somebody, as he would have gotten married to him in Bushe in Kumasi or Kwadasu in Kumasi or something like that. So he contracts the marriage. After a while, he's not quite interested in the marriage. He tells the family that I'm not interested. He comes to Ghana and marries Odobroni. As far as he is concerned, within the context of his personal law, has he committed an offense?
Yes.
Why?
Because the existence of ordinance is a matter of law. Now, despite the existence of his personal law, he has decided to subject himself to a legal system that says that you are only entitled to marry one woman under that system. Once you have subjected yourself, and that's why there are many Ghanaians that go abroad, subject themselves to that system, and are barred from taking another person as a wife. Now,
let me bring the question back to America again. Treat me as one of your students. An American senator, his son goes to Harvard, meets an Iranian woman who also comes to Harvard. The Iranian woman is strictly governed by Islamic law. He gets married to the Iranian woman in Tehran under Islamic law, which allows him to marry 4 or 5 women. Does the American jurisprudence recognize that this American citizen has contracted a marriage that is opposite to the American marriage system? If it doesn't, after he's married this Iranian woman, he marries another Iraqi woman, and then he marries another woman from Jordan. 3 wives, and that's Islamic law. He's able to do that. Now he says, issue them with American passports.
But what is his personal law as an American citizen?
But that's what I'm saying. Lumba's personal law is Ghanaian. It's Ashanti.
But he subjected himself.
So the American guy subjected himself to Islamic law.
But who is the administrator? You see, in this instance, there is fixed statutes.
What does that mean?
The statute is I can't find a law.
I know what statutes mean. What parliament will pass.
What parliament will pass. And parliament is fixed. Parliament has said this is the law that applies to persons who marry with this procedure. So if you want to marry multiple persons, he should have contracted customary marriage. He should have come here in Ghana, gone to Kwamu, and gone to marry multiple persons. But because he intended for it to be monogamous, that is why he took her and married her according to monogamous law.
He was unaware that he was doing a monogamous law because this lady is Ghanaian.
Oh, they would have told him.
And so, because this lady is Ghanaian and he's Ghanaian, and they find themselves in Germany and they want to get married. And in Germany, if you have to get married, after you do the adoah and the deba, you still have to go and sign something. As far as he's concerned, that's what he was doing. Because his personal law is Akan customary law.
But you have subjected yourself knowingly, and you must know. You must know the ramifications of the forms of marriage you intend. In fact, at that sitting, when you are signing, the officer would inform you that this is what you are getting yourself into.
But it's 30 years ago.
So how he forgot?
Did the officer inform? Do you know?
Oh, but that is what's supposed to be
But
done.
then
The officer issuing the certificate
the
will tell
US
you.
State Department should issue all the 3 women with American passports if the young American man has married one Iranian under Islamic law, after that married a Jordanian under Islamic law, and married an Iraqi under Islamic law.
Iran recognizes, Iraq recognizes,
Yes.
Jordan recognizes,
Yes.
America doesn't recognize.
Why won't America recognize?
Because that is America's law.
So Lumba is Ghanaian.
But
He's
that is
Akan.
German. That is German law. So once you have subjected yourself to, when you go to Rome, you do what?
But the Americans subjected himself to Islamic law to marry the Iranian girl.
So if you've subjected yourself to Islamic law, you subject. But don't come and force the American states to adhere to the terms of your choice.
So the American states will ask him, choose the wife you want us to issue the passport.
Yes,
because we are going to issue to only one wife.
And even that one, once you choose, make sure you come and perform American marriage. One that is
I see.
recognized.
So
that is why I said that monogamous marriage.
As it is, the American State Department will not recognize that polygamous marriage that you have gone to do.
Yes, so it may be recognized for other purposes. But for the purpose of papers, issuing of papers and all those things, it is only one wife that has been contracted under a monogamous system. That is why when you come to Ghana and you go to Christ the King and you marry at Christ the King, you can still use that to apply for papers in the US. That is why when you go and marry at AMA, you can still use that to apply for papers in the US.
Now, Abusuya, after the video, we know, and after the Onyabutre, already the injunction order no, ya mami Akosua Serwaa ene tabura, or de ato eye ni kunu, the late husband, that Lumba, na ye esono. After so already we know, reine and komo fofra wasa etiye. Eti mo amu Germany no amu sorry mo amu Germany madawroma mo mwaye se ukura Germany krata na se uye Germany ni a uye Germany ni nko na se obetime ye Ghana ni asa ye Germany ni ama no aye den aye yie na se wontimi nye Ghana ni ensa nye Germany ni ma ni ye dia na ye maame Akosua Serwaa e wo right so otimi di injunction etulumba Yesu anase oni right na se untimi nye Germany ni ensa nkoye eye Ghana ni dia na se Lumba ohoi oye Germany ni dia se si eye owuye Germany ni eye German emra ene di ni so anase emra bay ene di Lumba so Abusuya is getting very interesting. Video number.
Joint clarification from the family of the late Charles Kojo Fosu Daddy Lumba, issued by Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu, widow, and Miss Ernestina Fosu, elder sister. Okay, so this is from the widow, the said widow, and one elder sister. It says, unauthorized funeral announcement circulating online. The immediate family of the late Charles Kojo Fosu, popularly known as Daddy Lumba, has become aware of information circulating on social media regarding his funeral arrangements, none of which were discussed, approved, or authorized by the immediate family. Learning about your own husband or brother's funeral plans for the first time through social media is deeply distressing. It goes on, said Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu, the widow of the late musician. Quote again, it is disheartening to see that some individuals have chosen to act without regard for the wishes and rights of the family he left behind. The highlights the unilateral actions of Ebusuapanyin Kofi Wusu and so-called funeral committee who have disregarded the due process of consultation with the deceased widow, children, and elder sister. Then they have a subtitle, Setting the Record Straight. We, the undersigned, wish to clarify and correct these misleading reports. Our beloved Charles Kojo Fosu passed away on July 26, 2025 in Accra. On 8th October 2025, Ebusuapanyin Kofi Wusu publicly announced a funeral date on air without consulting or informing the immediate family, including Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu, the couple's children, or Miss Ernestina Fosu, his elder sister, currently residing in Germany. I'm not sure why the elder sister is important. Perhaps Lawyer Preku will come and tell us whether the conceptualization of the family is the family head or the siblings or who it is. Preku, get ready and explain that to us. But this is a message from the family. It's a press release. This act, they say, shows a complete disregard for cultural and moral responsibility, as the immediate family must be properly consulted and allowed sufficient time to prepare and travel for the funeral. Since his passing, there have been repeated attempts to marginalize both the legal wife and the elder sister of the deceased in matters concerning the funeral, behavior that stands contrary to Ghanaian tradition, decency, and respect for the deceased. The family also notes that investigations into the cause of death remain ongoing, and therefore premature public announcements are both inappropriate and insensitive. Legal and marital clarification. This is very important. It says, we wish to firmly establish the legal marital status of Mr. Charles Kojo Fosu. Mr. Fosu was a citizen of the Federal Republic of Germany and was legally married to Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu on December 23rd, 2024 in Bonn, Germany. Both Mr. and Mrs. Fosu are recognized under German law as husband and wife. Any suggestion that he had two wives is false, baseless, and legally impossible. Under German Civil Code, Section 1306 explicitly states, quote, a marriage may not be entered into if one of the person is already married. It also produces it in German Dutch language, but I go on. This means that any subsequent marriage entered into while a legal marriage exists is void under German law. Therefore, Mr. Fosu had one and only one lawful wife, Mrs. Akosua. Please ask Apreku to come back. We need to explore this and come and sit here. Therefore, Mr. Fosu had only one lawful wife. That is Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu. And we'll put this on our Facebook page so people can read for themselves. Legal action undertaken. It says, given the confusion and unauthorized activities surrounding the funeral arrangement, Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu, through her legal counsel, has filed an interlocutory injunction. The motion seeks to restrain Ebusuapanyin Kofi Wusu and his associates from collecting the late musician's body from the morgue or undertaking any funeral or burial arrangements until proper dialogue, consensus, and legal authorization are reached. Message to fans and supporters. This is for all of us. It's important. To the millions of fans, friends, and admirers of Daddy Lumba across the globe, we deeply appreciate your unwavering love and patience during this difficult time. Please disregard any official announcements of dates shared online. Verified updates regarding the funeral arrangement will be issued through official press releases from the immediate family. Please sit here. Our beloved Charles will receive the dignified farewell he deserves, one that reflects love, respect, and legacy, but built through his music. That is by Miss Ernestina Fosu, his elder sister. It says, we remain grateful for your continued support, compassion, and understanding as we navigate this period of mourning. It's signed by the family secretary on behalf of Mrs. Akosua Serwaa Fosu, widow, and Miss Ernestina Fosu, elder sister of Charles Kojo Fosu. This is getting very, very worrying and also quite legally interesting. Lawyer, there's another matter that I just found out from this document, that Daddy Lumba is a citizen of the Federal Republic of Germany. Federal Republic of Germany does not recognize dual citizenship. How complicated does that make the story?
Yeah, so the citizenship of an individual of a state does not necessarily affect the person's adherence to a certain set of customs. So if the person is not, as I said, Germany does not accept or recognize dual citizenship.
So you're only a German?
A German citizen.
Yes.
And once you are married under German...
So Daddy Lumba is only German. So you cannot really import another law, so to speak, to govern anything he does. Whatever he does must be understood within the context of German law. He's not a dual citizen. It's not Germany and Ghanaian. You can be UK and Ghana.
Yeah.
You can be America and Ghana. Yeah. But Germany is single.
Yes. So there are certain rights and customary practices he may decide to adhere to. Just that they must fall in line and adhere to the terms of the German constitution and other civil codes.
So that makes it worse. Because then we cannot attribute the customary law to him. Because he's not even Ghanaian.
Yeah, but even beyond that, assuming that Germany accepted dual citizenship and he was both a German and a Ghanaian, that's assuming for sake of argument. So long as he married under the ordinance system, and that was the point that I had made.
Yeah, but I'm thinking this is making it stronger.
Oh yes. Yeah. I mean, in this instance, it's even relatively stronger because once as a German citizen and bound by German law, and didn't take steps to revoke the German or revoke German citizenship, then it would be relatively difficult for a case to be made. I do not, because it's sub judice, I do not want to make pronouncements on it thereof.
Very, very
but
interesting.
those are the issues.
And very complicated.
Those are the issues that the court
Remember to
have
put the
answer.
statements on our social media page for people to see it.
Okay, no
thank you very much. Good evening for those who sent me the message. I'm happy that you helped our program tonight. Let's get to the text messages and conclude on what Anzibai says. So you agree that this makes it more complicated?
Yeah, relatively. It makes it a
Okay,
bit
but
more.
if both Daddy Lumba and his wife are Germans without recourse to another citizenship,
Yes.
are they able to appear and seek redress in Ghanaian courts?
Oh, his body is here. The funeral is going to be conducted here, most likely.
Yes, but
in Kumasi.
accessing the legal, you are German, so are they able to file before Ghanaian courts?
Yes.
Can Germans file before Ghanaian
You mean
courts?
the family, the current case as it is?
No, I mean the lady is German.
Yeah, so
German only. The
Yeah.
subject, Lumba, German only.
Yes.
The marriage, conducted and celebrated in Germany only.
Yes, but the marriage is to be conducted in Ghana. Sorry, the funeral is to be conducted in Ghana. And in this instance, we
Yes.
need an injunction to stop the funeral from
but
ongoing.
if there are problems
And you know-
about the funeral,
You know, suits, the right to sue or initiate an action is not tied necessarily per citizenship.
It is
And
where
so,
the matter takes
where the
place.
accrues. So, for instance, you can have
so if
somebody
a contract is here,
If the contract-
an American citizen can sue here.
and enforce
And enforce
the contract, even though he's an American citizen. It happens all the time.
Okay.
You remember even this case, the Ara Libertad case, where there was an Argentinian ship
Yes,
that
that-
came to Ghana. I think it was during Mahama or Mills.
Yeah, it was Muhammad's first. Mills to
Mills,
Muhammad.
yes,
Yeah.
at that time. Even though the parties, it was an American company that wanted to freeze the assets of Argentina because the ship was in Ghana. The action was brought before the Ghanaian High Court and then subsequently appealed to the Supreme Court of Ghana. So the facts are in Ghana in any way. And so to prevent, because what's the alternative? You are going to apply for the injunction in Germany and
But
attempt
this is a suit that concerns personal law. Really, not. It's not a contract. You see,
Yeah.
it's not business. It's a suit that relates to personal law, and they should not be able to access anything about personal law in a country that they cannot be subjected to its legal jurisdiction.
So the courts now would have to, the courts has also the power to assess the personal law of the parties, even though the personal law may not be.
So they will interpret what German law says about
and can
it.
apply. The courts
They
can
can
do that.
actually write to the German embassy and say,
And yes, and
advise
so
us on
in
this
that
one.
instance, the Evidence Act provides that the general presumption is that all laws of other countries are presumed to be the same as the laws of Ghana. And so in such an instance, it is the party that alleges that bears the burden of proof of showing the difference and proving foreign law. So it would mean going for an affidavit before in Germany, showing what's supposed to be done, taking the acts, getting an expert witness, all those things, and proof before a Ghanaian court. And it's done. At times you'll be there, you would see that your friend in England may have a case. You say, oh, I have a case. This and this and this is what is going on. And so you, the lawyer in Ghana, would now have to conduct your investigations, gather Ghanaian law, get someone to swear an affidavit to it, exhibit it, send it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Judicial Secretary would stamp on it. The director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs would certify that the affidavit is true, and then it will be shipped via DHL to the UK. And in the UK, the lawyer would use the evidence that you have gathered as a lawyer here to prove and substantiate his case before the British courts.
Wow, that's interesting.
So it happens. The fact that the personal law of someone is not Ghanaian does not mean the Ghanaian court is precluded from
looking at
applying.
it.
Exactly.
Goldberry and Construction Limited for say men can say more 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, finished apartment or more higher than a ton with a flexible payment terms. Interbusione Juha, for numbers na a good screen sono 020 70 36 710 na efromo na enomo endi eye ehun kom afetu so se opese o mu si dan no from scratch to finish so betimi aboawo se o dan bi na pese o mo pese o mu renovate so edema so betimi ayede aboawo se ene o asase and I person already started so meet me I then aboa was akwan so say na so o de open building materials so abusuya o mo betimi I then aboa say usi dan e na open drawing plan ultramodern one part so contact o mo na abusuya munye bi emfama o mo no 020 70 36 710 020 70 36 710 abusuya from Mrs.